Hi, my name's Veronica Dooley, and this is a quick video to show you a visual journey through the history of the NHS. The NHS was born on July 5th, 1948, after a very tricky conception. Despite being much wanted by the general public, the British Medical Association threatened to boycott it up until February of that year. It's widely considered that Trafford General Hospital is the birthplace of the NHS. It was then called Park Hospital and was the first hospital visited by the Health Minister on the day that the NHS was started. Before the NHS, many people had to pay to visit the doctors and go to hospital, which pushed a lot of people into debt. Aneurin Bevan was the pioneering Labour Health Minister behind the NHS. Clement Attlee was the Prime Minister at the time, and Bevan had to fight hard to make his vision into a reality. He was determined that the NHS should universalise the best rather than just be a safety net, and thought healthcare should be available to those who needed it rather than just those who could afford it. The first patient treated on the NHS was 13-year-old Sylvia Diggory, who was treated for acute nephritis. Bevan met her on that day and told her it was a milestone in history. On that first day, health boards took control of 2,751 hospitals, and 94% of the public were already enrolled. The budget for the first year was £437 million, which is about £15 billion in today's money. Bevan asked for people's patience while initial problems were sorted, but financial trouble meant that changes had to be made. So in 1951, Bevan resigned after he was unhappy with changes bringing in charges for prescriptions, dental care and glasses. In his resignation to the Prime Minister, he wrote, "It is the beginning of the destruction of those social services in which Labour has taken a special pride and which were giving to Britain the moral leadership of the world." The world was now entering an age of medical discovery. In 1952, the structure of DNA was discovered. In 1954, the link between smoking and lung cancer was established. In 1958, very successful vaccination programs were launched for polio and tetanus. In 1960, doctors in Edinburgh performed the UK's first successful kidney transplant. In 1961, the contraceptive pill became widely available, although initially only to married women. In 1968, doctors in London performed the UK's first heart transplant, only the 10th to take place in the whole world. In 1978, the world's first test tube baby was born in Lancashire. In 1988, breast cancer screening was introduced, and along with new drugs, this has been credited with a 20% drop in breast cancer deaths. In 1991, under Margaret Thatcher's Conservative government, the NHS was given a huge shake-up. The NHS internal market was introduced, which meant that instead of health authorities running each hospital, they would buy care from them or other hospitals for their patients. In 1997, Labour ran a general election campaign that focused greatly on the NHS, and their slogan, 24 hours to save the NHS, contributed to Labour winning a landslide in the election. In 2003, Tony Blair's government introduced a target that was said 98% of A&E patients should be seen within 4 hours. 2013 saw another huge Conservative shake-up. pay had been frozen for the NHS workers from 2010, and between 2010 and 2015, around £20 billion worth of cuts were made. The NHS bosses warned that radical action was needed, or there would be a £30 billion hole in the budget by 2020. The Royal College of Nurses has stated that nurse pay has been cut by 14% in real terms since 2010, and nursing bursaries have recently been scrapped. Around 1/3 of specialist children's units have been closed. Jeremy Hunt's attempts to push through changes to junior doctors' contracts resulted in a long-running dispute and strikes in 2016. A Conservative top-down reorganisation of the NHS has seen many NHS services privatised, with lots of lucrative contracts going to Tory donors and their associates. It's safe to say the NHS, something most Britons are very proud of, is now fighting for its life. If you'd like to download the artwork from this video, just visit veronicadaly.com/print.